My camera's crooked over there. Maybe a little bit. How's it going, everybody? It's Jesse. Welcome to today's live stream. We are live streaming both to Facebook and to YouTube. So we're going to give it a few minutes for everybody to jump on. Of course, I'm here a little bit early, as I often like to do. Actually, I always like to do it. Let me make a little adjustment here to the camera. Just a touch. Looks like it was slightly crooked. Anyhow, I like to jump on a little early, give everybody a little time to find the live stream. Again, we are live streaming to both Facebook and to YouTube. So for those of you that would rather watch this where you can pause it, back it up, forward during the live stream, you're going to want to go to YouTube for that. Facebook does not allow you to do that. What's happening, Liliana, Roberto Garcia, Lily and Roberto Cruz from California. How's it going, Lily? How's it going, Roberto? First comment of the day. Pretty awesome. What's up, Penny? How's it going today, Penny? Thank you both for being here. Thank all three of you for being here. I know there's other people on the stream as well. Don't forget, folks, I'd like to know where you are joining from. So if you could, in the comments, put down where you're painting from and who's painting with you. What's happening, Debbie, all the way from the UK, nearly 11 p.m. Wow. Okay, yep. Probably a good idea to watch tomorrow, okay, unless you're a night owl and you want to stay up a little while painting with us. But yeah, probably a better idea tomorrow. But anyway, thank you for stopping by and saying hello. Let's see, Randy says, won't be joining today. Have a great time. You got it, Randy. Thank you for stopping by and saying hello. Penny is joining us from Esco, Minnesota. Awesome, Penny. All right. So again, like I said, we're here a little early. And so just want to give everybody a little time to jump on. Go ahead and ask me any questions, comments. Put them all in the comment section. Maybe some of you guys have some questions you guys could get in before the crowd gets here. Now, I don't know how many people are going to be joining us today. I imagine quite a few. Looked like it was going to be a pretty popular event today, but we'll see. We'll see who's joining in. But all right, I'm going to turn my air up a bit or down a bit, whichever. I'm going to make it colder in here. Give me a second while I do that. How's it going, Lori Wagner? Give me a second while I step over to my air conditioner. Don't leave me. All right. Okay, I'm back. Had to turn that air conditioner, crank it up. Getting a little warm in here. Joanne Adam, how's it going from Sudbury, Ontario? How are you, Joanne? Thank you for joining in. So anyway, everyone, while we're waiting for people to jump in, just wanted to let everybody know, for those of you that aren't aware, the events that we've done over the past few weeks. Last week, we did this pretty cool, awesome umbrella with roses in it. Okay, we did this not last Monday, 2 Mondays ago, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, for those of you that are interested in jumping in with that, there is a pre-prep video. If you go up to the video section on the main Painting with Jesse page, you'll find that there. The week before that, we did this awesome spring window with a little floral piece. Okay, same thing. There's the videos available under the live session. There are pre-prep videos to both of these. Okay, I teach you guys how to draw everything from scratch. I think with the pre-prep on the roses, there's a pre-prep video on how to make those roses because they are a little tricky. I know some people had a tough time with those. So anyway, just so you guys know, if you're interested in checking those out, make sure you go over to the videos tab at the top of the main Painting with Jesse page here on Facebook. Also on YouTube, you'll see the live streams. I don't know that I loaded the pre-prep videos to YouTube. I probably should have. Would have been a great idea. But all right, who else is on here? What's happening, Robin? In Maine. Awesome. Glad you're here, Robin. Thank you for joining in, for coming along and painting with us. Roberta Ashley Dysart from Roberta and Cindy in Woodstock, Virginia. What's happening, Roberta and Cindy? Thank you for being here. And then let's see, Cindy Ashley George says, joining on YouTube from Virginia with Roberta. Okay, cool. Pretty cool. So we are about 7 minutes away from actually starting. So like I said, we're just going to give it a few more minutes. Make sure you guys leave your questions in the comments. Okay, if you guys have any questions. If you guys have any questions right now, it'd be the perfect time to put them in because there's so few people on here that I'll see your question. A little bit later once we get going, it may be a little trickier to see. A couple of other things. I have, I believe, 3 or 4 more events. Let me take a look really quickly. Already scheduled for the month of, for the rest of the month of April. And then I think I've got a couple already in May. Give me a second while I jump over and see what we got over here on the events page. So, yep. With today's, we've got 1, 2, 3 events. So 1 more in April. Let's see. Is that right? 1 more in April. Yep. When we on the April 27th, where we paint that awesome beach scene with a couple of dandelions, a little heart in the sand. So that's on the 27th. On Thursday, May 6th, we're painting the Mother's Day themed piece, the tulips in the little water jug, water can. So that's Thursday, May 6th. And then Wednesday, May 12th, we have the hummingbird piece. That one's going to be a lot of fun. Well, they're all going to be a lot of fun. I am adding the sunflowers and bee theme also in May. That's probably coming the week of, let's see, the weekend after the hummingbirds, at least tentatively. That's what we got. So for those of you that are looking forward to those, make sure you guys stick around because those are coming up. Those are going to be a lot of fun too. What's up, Gloria? How are you? Diana says, I want to paint this cute gnome. So we're going to be drawing it first, okay? So that everybody that, hope you guys all have a pencil handy, pencil with an eraser or chalk. Chalk is always easier to work with. I'm doing it in pencil first. I would do it in chalk, but I like to vary it a little bit so you guys can all see, right, the different mediums. But chalk would be fantastic. Here you go, Gloria. Yeah, this is a good one, Gloria, for your spring art on your walls. Fantastic. Yeah, Penny, that hummingbird one is going to be a lot of fun. Now, I'm going to be doing a pre-prep video for that hummingbird one because I'm going to be drawing it out. If we do all that in one sitting, to get it to look as, you know, kind of realistic, that's more of a realistic, more of a realism style with that hummingbird, to get that kind of reality in it, realism. It would take quite a bit of time. So I want to do the drawing part of it so that when we do the actual live session, we are good to go with the paint. Bricia Garcia with Asael and Itzel. How's it going? Haven't seen you guys in a while. Thank you for stopping by. I know you guys used to come out and hang out way back a few months ago. So thank you for coming by and saying hello. Hello to all 3 of you. Pretty awesome. So we're about 4 minutes away. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the supplies here. I'll repeat these right before we get started. I'll go into the specifics with the brushes. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different brushes that we're going to be using today. Don't worry too much about having the exact supplies, as long as you got something similar. And again, we'll talk about the brushes here in a little bit, the actual sizes. You always want to have paper towels. Very important. Okay, want to always have paper towels handy. Messes happen. You know, you want to be able to clean those up. Of course, I've got a variety of paints, which I'll go into right at the beginning. Okay, but I'll be painting with acrylic paints. For those of you, some of you might be painting with watercolors. I know that's a really popular medium to use. Watercolors, crayons, charcoal, colored pencils, etc., etc., etc. Whatever you're using, it's perfectly fine. Of course, I'm going to be using painting on a canvas. I've got a 16 by 20 inch canvas, same size as the original. If you've got something smaller or something larger, you'll just play with the ratio of your drawing a little bit to get it to look similar to the original, if that's what you're going for. Of course, everything on the piece is optional. colors and everything. You can change things up however you would like. Now, I have some glitter paints over on the side. I don't know that we're going to be using those today. If there's time, maybe we'll implement that into the piece. But there is no glitter on the original. Okay, the original does not have any glitter on it. But again, if there's time, maybe we'll spread a little glitter joy on our painting. Okay, and I think that's it for the supplies other than my water cup. I always have a water cup in between steps. My brushes sit inside here, right? So that the acrylic paint does not dry out on them and ruin them. Very important. I also have a little separate container. I use a little tin here with water. I always rinse it out and dry it at the end of this so it doesn't rust on me, but I have a little tin with water in it. What I do with my brushes in between steps, as I'm using my brushes, I lay them in the tin so they're laying sideways, not inside of the tin, but the handles on the rim, and then the head of the brushes is inside the rim or inside the container, but they're sideways. Puts less pressure on the bristles. Carol says, just stopping by to say hi from Moncton, New Brunswick. All right, Carol, thank you so much. Catherine Todd, hi everyone. Thanks, Jesse, for continuing with these awesome tutorials. My pleasure, Catherine. Thank you for coming and saying hello. Fantastic. So we got about a minute to officially start. Okay, if you guys are on YouTube, both Facebook and YouTube, please help me with the algorithm. Helps the pages to grow by saying hello, leaving a comment, saying, hey, Jesse, whatever you guys want to say, please leave it in the comment section. Okay, that does help me. Also, make sure if you haven't yet, please like the page, follow the page, and if you're on YouTube, please subscribe so that you get all the notifications when I post something new, okay? But anyway, it is 3 o'clock here in California. I just want to say hello to everyone. Welcome to my Painting with Jesse page, both on Facebook and on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here with me today. Of course, we're going to be painting this happy little spring gnome over to my right, okay? We are going to be taking about 2.5 hours to do the whole thing. I'm going to have a little bit of a quicker pace, a little bit, than I normally do because I'd like to fit into that time frame. Okay, we're going to be drawing the piece first, and then we're going to paint it. Everything on here is optional, as I always like to say. Meaning, if you want to change things up, please feel free to do so. Change colors. Maybe in your painting, the little gnome is holding a balloon instead of a flower. Maybe it's got 2 little hands sticking out from underneath its beard. Maybe it doesn't have any bunny slippers. That is entirely up to you. Okay, of course, the little saying up on top, the little phrase, happy spring, you'll be able to customize that if you'd like. Okay, but as far as what we're going to be using today, what I'm using today, I'm going to be using acrylic paints in the following colors. Okay, I've got some skin tone. I've got a skin tone color. It's kind of a light pink or rose color. If you don't have this skin tone color, you can mix it by using a little bit of pink and a little bit of yellow, or red, white, and yellow. Okay, if you want to tone it a little to the brown side, then you would add a little bit of brown. If you want to make it lighter, you would add a little bit of white, so on and so forth. I'm using a light blue for my sky. Okay, light blue for that background. Again, whatever color you want to use for that, you're absolutely welcome to change things up. I'm using some white. I'll be using white for the beard. Actually, the beard is a combination of some white, and then I also put in some gray, which I create by mixing white and black. I've got a couple of greens over here, okay? A couple of greens. Doesn't really matter. If you've only got one shade of green, you can always change the tone of it by adding white or yellow or brown, etc. But if you can see on the grass, on the original painting, I've got some light green, I've got some darker green, and then an in-between color. So we'll talk about how to make that when we get moving. But if you have more than one green, perfect. If not, you'll be able to change it up a little bit with the colors that you do have. Okay, of course, I've got a little bit of yellow for mainly for the flowers, but also it comes in handy if you want to mix that pink tone that I was talking about earlier. Got some orange. Okay, got some bright orange that I'll be using. Got some pink. Okay, got a little bit of pink. I've got some brown. Yeah, I've got some black. Okay, a little bit of black. Mainly this will be used to outline the beard, the eyes on the bunny. And to make gray for when I do the beard, that light gray, I'm going to be adding a little bit of black to some white to make that gray. And then, of course, I got some purple. We'll see what we use as purple. Where we use as purple mostly, it's going to be on the little gnome's stocking hat. Okay, so those are the colors that I'm going to be using. Let's talk about the brushes, specifically about the brushes. Now, again, as with everything else, you do not have to have the exact brushes that I've got. As long as you've got something kind of similar, you're going to be okay. But let's talk about these brushes. I've got a 1-inch flat brush. Basically, this is just a wide square-headed brush. Primarily, I'm going to be using this for the background. Perhaps I'll be using it inside the gnome's little hat, and maybe even in the grass. Okay, this is a nice synthetic bristle brush, golden Tacklon, but it's a 1-inch brush for covering large areas. Okay, that's one. Number two, got a 1/2-inch brush, kind of similar, actually real similar, almost identical in shape to the other one, just smaller versions of it. Okay, grass maybe, the hat, the beard, making these long streaks in the beard. Okay, that's what that's going to be used for. Next one that I've got is a number 8 filbert. If you've got a number 5 or a number 4 or number 6, 7, you're going to be okay. Filbert, basically the filbert brush is it's got a rounded top. It's thin like this, but it's rounded over the top. These are good for the flowers. Anything that's rounded like the hand and things like that, you can use that. Again, if you don't have this brush, don't stress about it. I've got a number 5 little flat brush. Same thing, little details, small details, etc., etc. That's what that brush is going to be for. And then I've got 2 small pointy brushes, a number 3 round brush for detail work, and then a 0 round brush for detail work. These are good for making things like the stems, especially the outlines of things, the writing. When we do the writing, that's what those will be good for. Okay, again, I've already mentioned before we actually started, but I've got a water cup in between the steps. When I'm using my brushes, they live inside my water. I'll be using my water cup to rinse them out. Then once I've rinsed them out, I'll transfer the brushes over to my little water bin here. I lay them so that they're at an angle inside the bin and there's less weight on the bristles, less likely for them to get damaged. Okay, I'm painting on a 16 by 20 inch canvas. Whatever you have is perfectly fine, but I've got a 16 by 20 inch. We are going to be drawing first, as I've already mentioned. So I have somewhere in here, and I just saw it a moment ago. I must have rolled away on me, so I'll have to grab one here in a second. But I've got a number 2 pencil, real basic pencil with an eraser. If you've got chalk, chalk is ideal. I prefer drawing with chalk, but today we're going to be doing it with pencil. Paper towels. Very important to have paper towels, and a lot of them. Sometimes messes happen. Give me a second. Let me see where my pencil rolled away to. If not, and I don't see it anywhere around here, so it must have rolled on the floor and ran away from me. Give me 1 second while I grab my pencil. Get yourselves ready because we're going to get right into this. Okay, got my pencil here. So like I said, we're going to get right into the drawing. Let me give you guys a close-up of the main canvas there so that you can easily see what it is that I do on my end. Remember, erasing is a part of drawing. We're going to be doing some drawing. You'll see me make some corrections as we go. But we are going to start on my 16 by 20 inch canvas. I'd like to point out a couple of things. Actually, let me look at those questions really quick, make sure everybody is good to go. What's happening, Lizzie Rosario? How are you? Let's see. Jill says, watching from Minnesota. What's happening, Jill? Alexander, sweet. Hello, friend. How's it going? All right, everyone, here we go. Oh, really quick, I didn't even ask. Actually, I did do a sound check. I didn't do an actual sound check, but somebody responded to a question that I asked them earlier. But just to make sure, I haven't seen anybody say, hey, Jesse, we can't hear you. But can somebody tell me, Jesse, we can hear you just fine. I just want to make sure right before we get going here. Tammy Brundage. Hello from Colorado, she says. Absolutely, the video will be available Yes, I forgot to mention that. Both on Facebook and on YouTube, as soon as this live stream is over, I simply hit the save button and the video is ready for you to watch it whenever you'd like. Okay, so you can come back and watch the video as you'd like. But all right, here we go. Let's get right into this drawing part of our little gnome. If you've got the stencil, and I know that a lot of you are using the stencil, if you haven't yet, you want to go ahead and stencil it in. Okay, now I don't know how much of it you're stenciling. Maybe you're stenciling just the outside. Some people like to stencil every part of it that I include in this, right? Whatever you get with my stencil, some people like to include all of it. Some people just do the outline. But if you only did the outline, then watch when I do the inside so that you know when to start drawing, right? What's on the inside, anything that you're missing. First thing, let's talk about the little gnome here. Where is this position in relation to my canvas? So about the middle of my canvas vertically is about right in here. So if you see that, that's about maybe 1.5 inches above from the nose. So if I was to do that right here on my fresh canvas, let's say I go across the middle like this, and this is just eyeballing. We don't need to measure anything. We're just eyeballing everything. So here's about the middle of my canvas. I'm just going to come down about 1.5 inches. And here is about where this part of the gnome is. So that's about the middle, right above the nose, almost the middle of my little gnome. I'm just going to draw a nice little curved line. Now, it'll be really light at first. In the moment, I'm going to darken it up. Okay. Once I get the right angle that I want, then I can go ahead and start darkening it in. So this is where you want to start on my canvas. Let's see. This area is about 6 inches. Looks about right. Okay, once we have it in place, take a little step back. Make sure you're not missing anything, or you're not too far over to the right, not too far over to the left, not too high. You want to make sure you leave enough room. Whatever size you're making your gnome, the important thing right now is that you have enough room on top for your little stocking cap, and then, of course, on the bottom for everything that you see down here. Okay? So once you've done that, you're good with everything. You want to go ahead and darken it in a little bit. Now, don't go too dark, especially if you're drawing with pencil. We want to be able to erase, and we also want to be able to paint over the top of this. Awesome, Lizzie, Chris, Peg, thank you very much. Jill, awesome. Sounds like everybody can hear me all right. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Okay, so there is this part of my gnome, right? Again, from here to about here is what this is right here. The next thing we're going to do is we're gonna go ahead and come down like this. We're gonna do the little beard part. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm not going to draw these little jagged lines in here yet. The edges, these little corners, I'm not adding those in yet. Instead, I'm going to come in a little bit, and I'm going to draw, if I can imagine a little circle going through here, a curved line on the inside. I'm going to draw that first. So it's going to be, it's not going to be as wide as where these little points are. It's going to be a little bit further in, just a little bit. We'll add those points in a little bit. And again, we stay nice and light. Okay. Now everybody's little gnome's going to be a little different. Some of you are going to have some wide gnomes. Some of you are going to have some skinny gnomes. It's all okay. Okay. Don't worry too much. I mean, unless you really, really want to try and create something exactly like this, don't stress about it. Have fun with it. Just understand that everyone's piece is going to look a little different. So again, really light on the pencil lines. Let me take a little step back. I'm over at an angle, so it's hard to see proportion from where I am. I need to make sure that just going to make a little correction over here. Because of where I'm sitting, my perspective is a little bit off. So let me make a little correction. So again, nice and light at first. Okay. And we're going to come down. Let's see, on mine, probably about 4 inches. That's about right. Probably went a little low here, but that's okay. About 4 inches. Okay. And then, of course, so this little edge and that little edge there are those in there without the little spikes. All right. So now what I'm going to do, from right in here, I'm going to draw the little mound, the green mound that he's standing on. I'm going to go over to the right, come down, little hill on both sides. Just going to come down and do this. Now, maybe some of you don't want to have a little mound. Maybe some of you are going to have, it's going to be flat. Maybe your grass, what he's standing on is nice and flat, right? Of course, your decision, but I'm going to go and add my little mound right there. Okay, once I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to draw the bunnies, little bunny slippers. Before I start, I'm going to draw a nice, really light, you're barely going to be able to see it. Little light line right here. I'll be erasing this in a little bit. Okay, but I've got a nice little light line. Let me give you guys a close-up. Give me a sec. Basically what I did is I created the little line that indicates where the bottom of the little slippers are going to be. So once I've got that, okay, I'm going to start with this little slipper. And the same thing I did with the beard. It's a nice smooth line instead of a jagged line. I'm just going to do a nice little curved, kind of a dome shape. I'll give you guys a close-up in a moment. Okay, there's one. And then I'll come over to the other side and do the same thing. We'll add the little jagged parts around the edges in just a little bit. Again, I want to make sure you guys are incorporating nice, light pencil lines. Don't go too heavy on if you're using pencil. If you're using chalk, that's easy to erase. Okay, so in a bit, I'm going to be erasing this line down here, the one in between. But for now, I have a line that goes across, and then I put the little shape, the base shape of the bunnies in first. Okay. But all right, once you've got that, we're going to put in the little ears. Okay, little ears. All those are, of course, just pointy, curved, come out on each side, kind of like that. I made these a little too close. I'm sorry, a little too far apart. So let me fix that. Always take a moment to assess your drawing, your painting, etc. Take a little step back. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Almost unplugged myself there. But anyway, okay. Got the little rounded body. And then we did the ears. Okay. Once you have that, you can go ahead and put the little jagged lines in around the bunny, around the edges of your bunny. Now I'm going to darken them up a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm making them darker so you guys can see them. But you at home or wherever you're joining me from, make sure your lines are nice and light. Keep them light so you can easily erase if you make any mistakes. Once I've got my dark lines in place, I can go ahead and erase. I went ahead and just lightly erased my lines, the curved line that I did at the beginning. Okay, and I'll do the same thing over here. I'll start with the jagged lines. Somebody might ask, well, Jesse, why didn't we start with the jagged lines right from the get-go? By using the rounded curved edge first, it gives us, we create the shape first. We create the shape, and then once we have the correct shape and size, we can go in there and add the other stuff afterwards. Okay, so in here, actually, we're not going to do that part. We're just going to do the little nose. Little nose right in the middle. And if you want, you don't have to do this. We're going to do this with black anyway. You can put a couple little dots in there for the eyes. Oops, a little too far apart. Bring those in a little bit closer. This one too. Okay, so take a look at that. That's what we got. Hi, Patricia. What's going on? Regina Gibbia Flores. Come join us, Regina. Okay. Got our little bunny ears. You got about 30 seconds. Take a look at your piece. Take a little step back. Make sure your proportions are good. They don't have to be perfect. Just make them so they work for you. And then we're we're going to continue in a moment with the nose and then the little jagged edges around the beard, okay? Always, 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 if you're really up close on your drawing or painting, when you're really up close to your canvas or whatever it is that you're painting on or you're recreating this on, take a few steps back, kind of assess from a distance. It gives you a better ability to gauge your proportions. You can kind of see where you need to make adjustments and then make your little adjustments. Okay, but here we go. Let's draw a little nose, little gnome nose, and all it is a big oval, right? All we got is a big oval here in the center. So find your little center, you know, and then just come around. Maybe you don't see the complete top edge of your nose. Maybe you do, kind of up to you. A little too wide there, so remember, nice and light on your pencil lines till you have the shape, size that you want. Once you've got that, you can go ahead and darken that in. Okay, something like that. Once you got your little nose, we can start adding in the jagged lines around the edges of our beard. Okay. They can be big, they can be small. They don't have to all be the same size. So we're going to make these over here a little bit bigger, I think. At least one of them. Okay. Once I've got that, I go in and erase my original curved line because we don't need that anymore. Okay, something like that. What's happening, Isabella and Nico in Covina? I used to live in West Covina. One of my best friends lives in West Covina. He's more like a brother. He lives in Covina, I'm sorry. But okay, so you got the little jagged edges around your gnome, okay? You did the jagged edges around here. Now, again, folks, I always mention this during the live streams, and I just want to emphasize, if you start to fall behind, don't stress about it too much. I've got to maintain a certain pace. I can't go too fast, can't go too quickly or too slowly. But if you find yourself falling behind, do your best to keep up, and then understand that you'll be able to continue with the recorded session of this, okay? But all right, so we've got everything around the bottom of our little gnome except for the little hand. So let's do that little hand right now, right here on the side. Nice little curved line comes around, comes down, goes back up. Okay, something like that. We're about 5 minutes, maybe, from beginning our our painting session. Okay, so you got the little hand right here. Once you've got his little hand in place, you want to look at the top of his little brim on his stocking cap. Comes up on the edges like this, both sides, curves up a little. And then you can come up like this. Maybe in the center, goes up a little bit higher, comes down and narrows down on the edges. Okay. Okay, so take about 30 seconds with that. In between steps, I like to look over the comments. I answer questions. Okay, say hello to some of you. Is anybody celebrating a birthday or an anniversary or anything like that? Speaking of which, oh my goodness, I didn't even think about it. I got so much happening. Today is the year anniversary of the first session we ever had here on Painting with Jesse. And I meant to do something for the year anniversary, but like I said, I got so much happening in the background, behind the scenes stuff, that I forgot to plan something out. But anyway, happy 1 year anniversary to Painting with Jesse here on Facebook. Woo! Anyway, yeah, today's the year anniversary. How crazy. I started at it with about maybe 600 followers at the time. And as of today, we are just about to hit 34,000. Pretty awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, Becky. How's it going? Thank you. Happy belated birthday. Hey, were you here on the first one that we ever did? You might have been here, Becky. Pretty cool. Megan Louise says, today is my family's 11-year anniversary in Canada. Pretty awesome. Thank you, Penny. Yes, Liliana, there is a Mother's Day painting that we're going to be doing. Some little tulips. Steph Reed says, hi, Jesse. Newbie here watching tonight, then going back and painting. Happy anniversary. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, thank you, all of you. Yeah, Becky, I think you were here. I think you might have been here on the very first one. Or you were here on the second one or something like that. Pretty awesome. But all right, let's continue with our little drawing. Thank you to everybody that's saying happy anniversary. Pretty awesome. So we're going to go right here in the center, the top of my little gnome. So let's see. Let's do a quick ratio, quick eyeballing. Maybe not necessarily eyeballing, but what I like to do is I like to compare the top. So this top part of my gnome, how much taller is it than the bottom part of my gnome? Look at that. Almost identical. This bottom half of my gnome is almost identical to the top half. So if you wanted to make that adjustment, you would simply take whatever you've got right now. You do this with your fingers, and you just bring that up to the top. And there's about, right here. It's right here, okay? Like this. Here's the top. Here would be the top of my little stocking cap. Okay, again, or you want a longer stocking cap or shorter, it's up to you. But we're going to start with a little triangle here first. Little triangle like that. Whoops, I brought it over too far to the edge. I want to bring it in first. I want to bring it to the inside first. A little too far, a little too far. A little exuberant right there, but right here. Anyway, it's been a long, fun ride so far. Pretty cool stuff has happened this whole year. Well, not COVID, of course, but had to pivot a little bit for my in-person painting parties. And yeah, got a lot of other really cool stuff happening with my page right now. So we'll see. We'll see where this all is headed. All right, so we got this triangle here in the center. Now we're gonna, so this right here, this part is just a triangle, right? Going in the kind of a bent little upside down triangle. So from the top, I can just kind of make this line that comes out like this. And then we put that into a little point. Now, I'm not worried about that flower. We're not adding that right now. We'll add that later once we paint in our background. There we go. Okay, there's our little gnome. Megan, did you use the stencil, Megan, or were you freehanding it? Can you guys see my lines right now? Might have to turn up my light here, but it's pretty high. Can you guys all see my lines okay? Megan, what are you watching this on? Are you on a TV? Are you on a laptop? Or are you on your phone? Might be a little tough to see from with the phone. Okay, but let me also, now that I've got my lines all in place, I'm going to go ahead and darken this up, my stuff up a little bit so it's easier for you guys to see your lines. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, YouTube laptop. Is anybody else having difficulty seeing my lines? Just curious. So I've made them pretty dark. Let me darken them up a little bit more. Okay. Hey, Megan, maybe, okay, you're on the laptop. Okay. Maybe, I don't know if you could try turning up your brightness a little bit. Might that help? Hopefully. So I'm just going through and darkening up my lines. You guys don't need to do that at home. As a matter of fact, I would recommend not doing it because you want to be able to cover up your pencil line, all your pencil marks with the paint. And any areas that you're using light paint on, your pencil lines might come through, right? So just keep your pencil lines light. I'm only darkening mine up to make it easier to see these on camera. Okay, there we go. So, but anyhow, that's what we got right now. Okay. All right. So take about a minute. Take a little step back. Look at your drawing from a distance. Make sure you're not missing anything. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I often like to jump ahead when I don't have the whole thing done. So I'm good, I think. As far as the drawing part of it, I'm good. I'll forget some painting part of it later. But the drawing part of it, I think, is pretty complete. So in just a moment, we're going to start painting. We're going to work. This is how we're going to work our painting part of it. We're going to do the grass, at least the first layer of grass, first layer of color on the grass is going to go first. Then we're going to do the light blue layer for the sky or whatever color you're using for your sky. That comes next. Then we start painting on the inside of our gnome. Okay. Now, almost everything on this piece, if not everything, is going to have 2 layers of paint, meaning the first layer gets put on, we move on to other areas. As that first layer dries, we're moving on and doing other stuff. Then we come back and refine the first layers of everything. For example, in the grass, we'd come in and start adding grass blades, maybe lighter colors. In the sky, if we need to do a second layer in the sky, and it's not necessarily something that has to happen with the sky can be a little bit blotchy because it's the sky. The blotchiness can kind of make it look almost like there's clouds or fog or something like that in the background. But we'll see when we get to that point. But again, I just want to stress this first step is our first layer of paint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the grass. Okay, my big 1-inch brush is what I'm starting with. Okay, the biggest brush in my group, 1 inch. Yes, so I'm using acrylic paint. Okay, again, I just want to mention I'm using acrylic paint. You can use watercolors. Some of you may have markers, colored pencils. Whatever you have is perfectly fine. I like to paint with acrylic paint. Okay, and of course, we talked about the colors earlier, but just to give you a quick rundown on my colors. Green, white. I've got a light blue for the background. I've got a skin tone color. So it's like a really light peach or pink color that I'll be using for the gnome's face. Now you can make that color by combining yellow, red, and white will give you that color. Or if you have pink, you could use pink and yellow. Will give you a skin tone color. Okay. Then there's purple. I'll be using some purple, some black, brown to do some outlining. The brown is going to be real basic. I'll be outlining the nose with it, and then the hand with that. So won't be using a lot of brown. Some pink, some orange, and some yellow. Okay. But all right, here we go. Hi, Dawn. Absolutely. Yep. Finish it when you can. So, all right, let's get moving on with our paint. Okay, here we go. Just going to scoop up some green paint. And again, if you're new to acrylic painting, I like to mention you want to do your best to keep your paint on your bristles. You don't want to saturate your brush so much that the paint gets down inside your little ferrule part, because it can ruin your brushes over time. Okay, but anyway, here we go. I'm going to start. What I'm going to do, let me turn this other canvas back the other way now that we're done drawing with it. First, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here, and I can use long, quick brush strokes here along the edge of my little mound. I'm going to outline first. Okay, I'm going to outline like this. I can brush downwards or I can brush upwards. Doesn't really matter too much. I'm using the broad part of my brush for now. And I can do short strokes, long strokes. I'm already beginning to create some little lines in here that eventually are going to look like grass blades. Here on the edges of my mound, I can slightly angle my brush strokes so they do this kind of like a fan, almost like a fan. Okay, so here in the middle, they mostly go up. So I'm going to come up right to the edge of my bunny slippers. Right here, edge of my bunny slippers. I'm not worried about creating any actual skinny lines in my grass just yet. I will in a moment. First thing though, I want to cover all of my mound with this green first. Okay, just like this. Now, it's okay if this green is a little blotchy because we're going to use that. We're going to use that in our favor. Okay, we're going to use that to create the grass blades. If you see it on the original, there's all sorts of different tones in there. It's about 2 or 3 different tones of colors in there. So that works in our favor, in our flavor. I don't know about that, but definitely works in our favor. So kind of do this. Now, once you've filled up this entire area with green, you can turn your brush sideways like this so that it's straight. Now you can come in here and start doing this. And I just want to remind you, we're doing this in a couple of layers. This is our first layer. Now I can start coming up over the top of the mound of it. So some of these grass blades are starting to pop up and out. Now, if your brush isn't skinny enough, and you're not getting these pointy lines, you can switch to a smaller brush for this part. Okay, you don't need all of them. We're going to have different colored grass blades coming through there. Just get a few. Make sure a few pop up and out above your little mound here. And they can be thick, they can be small, skinny, they can vary a little bit. But let's get a few of them in there. And then we're going to go ahead and move on. Now, when I come in with my background color, I might cover some of this up on the edges here. So I'm not really worried about that too much. It's going to happen a little bit, but we'll come back and refine those. We'll clean those up. Okay. All right. So work on that for just a little bit. You guys got about 1.5 minutes to get your first layer of grass in there. And then we're going to start with our background. Heidi, what's happening? Heidi from the East Coast did this with you at Hops and Spokes. Hi, Heidi. Of course. Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you for coming out. So everybody, Heidi lives in New York, if I remember correctly. I know she's from the East Coast. She's already mentioned it there, but Heidi was in California visiting her son. Sorry, Heidi, I don't mean to put your business out for everyone to hear. But she was in California, actually close to where I was doing a live event last month, something like 3 weeks ago. And she came out, a little more than that, I can't remember now, but she came out and actually came out and painted with me in person. So that was really awesome. That was great meeting her. So, but really, really appreciate you coming out, Heidi. That was awesome. Very, very awesome. And then there's a few of you on here that we've done some live Zoom events, private Zoom events for parties and things like that. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see. Paula Cooper says, hi, Jesse, quick question. During the, sorry, let me see. The brushes are for two. I ordered for the brush, but not sure if they are synthetic. It was the 10. Yes, those are all synthetic, Paula. Yes, absolutely. You ordered these little guys right here. I'm going to be using some of those today. These are all synthetic bristles. Okay. These are considered white Taklon synthetic bristle brushes. They're a little bit softer than the golden Taklon. But yes, I've got a couple of those in here. They're part of my favorite brush set. Okay, but yes, great question. Synthetic bristle brushes. But all right, everybody, let's continue. Please do leave your comments in the questions below. And yes, Paul, that's a perfect set to use today. Oh, I put Heidi's comment in there by accident. Sorry, Heidi. Putting you on blast today, Heidi. But seriously, thank you so much. All right, so here's what I'm doing, folks. I'm still going to be using my brush. I'm cleaning it up. Okay, I'm just swirling it around in my water cup. Okay, cleaning it up, cleaning it up, cleaning it up, cleaning it up. I'm trying to get rid of all of the green that's in there. Now, I've got another bin, as I mentioned earlier, that has water in it. Normally, if I was done with this brush, I would lay it in here like this. Okay, this bin comes in really handy for this part of it. But you got to get there because it will turn a little rusty over time. Or you can use a plastic bin. I use those until I can't use them anymore, and then I toss them. But here I'm cleaning up my brush just to take out all that extra green paint. What I've got now is this light blue, okay, that I'm going to use for my background. Now, this is a little bit darker than what I've got on the original, but that's perfectly fine. If you don't have a light blue, you want to use a little bit of white and a little bit of blue. You mix those two together, and you're going to get yourself a nice light blue color. Unless you got a different color you'd like to use. So again, using the same big 1-inch brush, I'm going to outline everything first. Come around. Not worried about the grass right now. Going to outline my gnome first. When I start to doing the edge down here by the grass, I'll switch over to a smaller brush. Okay, there we go. And once I've done this, I can go through. Now for this painting, I'm going to use, for my background, this kind of a crosshatch. There's a little bit of a randomness in this crosshatch pattern that I'm using. They're short, quick brush strokes going in different directions. I'm not using the long, clean brush strokes that I often use. The reason for that is that I'm painting around the gnome instead of, oftentimes I'll paint the background first. And when you do the background first, it's really easy to make long, smooth brush strokes. When you're painting around a subject like we are here with the gnome, it's hard to do that and create a nice, even background. So instead, what I do is I just do these little short brush strokes all through the entire painting. And again, you notice I'm working pretty quickly here. I'm not worried about, once I've done my outline, I'm not worried too much about accidentally painting into the gnome. The outline helps keep you from doing that. Now you notice I left this all light right above my grass on the left side. I'll do the same thing on the right. In a little bit, I'm switching brushes and I'll clean that up. So you want to lay your paint down a little thick for this. Again, for this style of painting, this style of background, it doesn't have to be super smooth or super even. The blotchiness in this also can work in our favor. As long as you don't have too much blotchiness, it's fine. The original does have a little bit in it, but it helps kind of create a little bit of a sky, kind of variation in color in our sky. Watch the way I'm holding my brush. This is a medium handled brush. There's short handle, there's medium handle, and then there's long handle. Okay, I'm holding it back towards the end of the handle and just coming around. Okay, just going to come in tight, clean up the edges around my beard and around my gnome. Okay, there we go. All right. For a moment, I'm going to grab my brush. I'm going to keep it in my cup. I might use it here in a moment. But I'm going to take my small flat brush. This is a little number 5 flat. If you have a number 6, number 7, number 8, you're okay. I'm just going to use this to come in around my grass blades. So still taking some of that blue, and I'm just going to come in here like this. And again, I'm making quick work of this. I'm not too stressed. Perfect order. I'm overlapping my blue and my green a little bit. No big deal. Later on, we'll refine this a bit. Again, I want to stick to about 2.5 hours for this session, so it's a good pace, not too quick of a pace. We also don't want to have a super slow pace. Okay, and around here, around the beard, There's a little area that I want to make sure I get. Okay, there we go. And if you're accidentally covering up your grass, no big deal. Again, we'll come back and add more grass blades later. Try to conserve some of your grass blades that are coming up above your little mound here. Okay, there we go. Now, for those of you that would like to paint your edges, okay, if you're working on a canvas, if you want to paint your edges, once you're done with the front part of your canvas, you can go ahead and do that. So I'm taking my big flat brush again, just grabbing more of my blue and gonna come up over the top. Okay, down my edges. And again, watch how I'm doing this, working pretty quickly. Not rushed, okay? But I also don't want to sit there spending too much time on our first layer of paint. Your first layer is hardly ever going to be perfect. Not with acrylic paint. Once you've got your edges covered, if you're doing your edges, look at the front and then cover any little areas that you see might have some white of your canvas coming through, or paper, or whatever it is that you're working on. I know some of you like to do these on canvas boards and canvas paper, or wood canvases, wood boards, mixed media paper, cardboard. There's all sorts of surfaces you can paint on. All right, there we go. Okay, so you guys take a couple of minutes on that. Steph Reed says, I collect and make gnomes, so learning to paint one fits right in. Awesome, Steph. What do you make them on? So what do you said you make gnomes, so like ceramics or wood, or what's your medium? Megan Louise, are you meaning, can you paint over it, like as in cover it up completely with your background color and then paint it again? Is that what you mean? All right, everybody, just a couple of minutes. I know the background can be a little bit time consuming depending on felt, is what Steph Reed is saying. Felt, pool noodles, socks, traffic cones. So what do you do? Do you sell them, or what do you do with them? Okay, Megan. So you can paint over your grass if you'd like. However, when you paint over it, so first let me ask you: are you using acrylic paint? I'm assuming you're also using acrylic paint. So if you're using acrylic paint, you can paint over your grass. However, your green, the green that's on the canvas already, when you paint over it, you're still going to be able to see it because the blue and the green are going to combine to make a different color. So your background's going to be one color, and then this area down here is going to look a different color. Okay, so just kind of be aware of that. That you can paint over it, but you're going to have to contend with a different color now, right? One thing you can do if you'd like to try this is you can actually erase your grass. You would take a paper towel, okay, with a little bit of water in it. So let's say I dip my paper towel in my water cup. Okay, I've got a wet paper towel right here. Now you want to be gentle with this, but any area that you want to erase, you can do this as long as your paint is still kind of fresh. You can do this, and it'll start to bring it off, take it off. Now it won't necessarily remove. It's going to have a light green tint to it, but you can do that. You can do that to your entire grass and take that off. Okay, so if you're going to eliminate your grass, that's how I would approach that. Erase it. Let this area dry. Once you take all your grass out, you want to let that area dry for about 10 minutes or use a blow dryer to dry it. Get rid of all that water, and then you can paint over that later. Okay, or you can do your entire background first, including the blue area down here, and then paint over that in green. Okay, so hope that helps. I know it's acrylic paint. If you're newer to acrylic paint, it's going to take a little time to get used to it, but that's how if I wanted to fix something, usually I'll erase it, remove it, and then paint over it. Let me see if it'll take my paint because it's still a little bit wet. It is, but we can deal with this. Okay, hope that helps, Megan. Ask any other questions, folks. Okay, Megan says, I'm using 2 different paints. Okay, what paint are you using? And then awesome, Steph. I like it. I like it. Give, keep, sell, give away. Do you have an Etsy store or anything like that? Or a website or a Facebook page? I'd love to check those out. But all right, folks, 30 seconds and we're moving on. Okay, 30 seconds and we're moving on. For those of you that are ready, I'm going to paint in the little bunny slippers. So I'm going to pour out a little bit of pink paint on my, I'm using a mixed media notepad, not notepad, mixed media pad for as a palette today. Deco Art and Fixsmith. So Deco Art is acrylic. Fixsmith, I've never heard of. I'm just curious, but are they both acrylic? As long as they're both acrylic. All right, Steph, when you get a chance, if you can send me a message with your Facebook page. I want to check those out. All right, everyone. I've got my little filbert brush right here. Okay. Again, synthetic bristle brush. This is the white Taklon. Has a rounded edge up on top. If you don't have these, don't worry about it. Use a small flat, use a little round, pointy one, whatever you have. Okay. Got a bunch of eraser marks on there. Just taking a little bit of pink. Now, I don't want my bunnies this pink, so I'm going to take a little bit of white. I am mixing the two together. Okay, nice light pink. Once I've got the color that I want, and I'm almost there, I'm going to do a little layer of pink on my bunny slippers. Now, this might be the first and only layer for my bunny slippers. So, but we'll see. It's going to come inside here. I'm using my brush sideways now, so I've got the narrow side of my brush. I'm going to paint everything on the inside of my bunnies in this color. Covering up my eyes. It's okay. I can still see them. Not that I have to. Not that I have to be able to see them. Okay. Same thing with the other side. Go. So again, holding my brush back here, back of the handle. My grip is nice and loose. Painting using brush strokes that are going in different directions. Okay, so take about a minute on your bunny slippers. Awesome, Steph. Sounds good. Okay, Megan. Yeah, so you're using acrylic paint. I've got different brands of acrylic paints right here. I like to kind of mix and match. It just depends on the paint, on the painting that I'm working on. But acrylic paint, same process. All acrylic paint. Now, some might be a little harder to remove than others. It depends on their consistency, their steadfastness, et cetera, et cetera. But as long as your paint is pretty fresh, it doesn't have to be wet, but it has to be pretty fresh, you can take it off pretty easily. Okay, so try that and see what happens. All right. All right. So here we go. Let me look at the comment section. You guys got about a minute for the bunny slippers. We'll be doing the outlining later. We're not worried about the outlining. We're not worried about, actually, we can go ahead and do the little, if you have dark pink, like I've got, I'm going to take my number 3 round brush. I'm just going to dip it into my darker pink. You could use red, whatever color you'd like. Just going to come in here and color in the little pink noses. Since we're here, might as well do that. There we go. Okay. Next step. Now, I'm gonna be using my skin tone pink, and I've got this Liquitex Basics acrylic skin tone pink. I have a few different brands of this skin tone pink color, but Liquitex is a good one. Okay, you can, once you've got your pink, or if you have a skin tone color, if you have one, you can tone it in different directions. You can lighten it up by adding white. You can make it a little darker by adding brown or black. Whatever you do, you introduce your color slowly. You don't want to add a whole lot of the other color very quickly. Introduce a little bit at a time until you get the skin tone that you want. If you don't have skin tone pink, you can use red, white, and yellow. Okay, you can mix red, white, and yellow. So I don't have any red over here. I have it on my other room over there. I can go grab it. Actually, I'm not going to do it, but you can mix red, white, and yellow. Okay, just work slowly as you mix them. Actually, you know what I am going to do is I'm going to mix some pink and some yellow, which is basically the same as red, white, and yellow, to show you guys. So I'll take a little bit of yellow. I've got a little bit of pink, right? Let's see. I'll take any brush here. Clean up my brush. I'm just going to show you really quickly. If you mix yellow and pink, you'll get a pink tone. Or again, red, white, and yellow will get you a skin tone. Okay, so I've got some pink right here. Okay, and I've got some yellow. Let's come over to the side here. I mix the two together. Now, depending on your pink, depending on your yellow, this might be a little too intense. Okay, but what you can do then is take a little bit of white to lighten it up. Okay, and then if you need more pink, right? Red, pink, yellow. And I should add white there to tone it up or down. Or sorry, to make it a little bit lighter. But there we go. Okay. In this case, we used pink, yellow, and white. But there is a similar skin tone pink. I can make it a little bit pinker, more pink, by adding more pink to it. Okay. Not quite exactly the same color, but they're very similar. All right. But anyhow, let's continue. And again, if you want me to repeat that, let me know in the comments and I'll repeat it. But for those of you that already have the skin tone color or just are mixing it, you're going to come in here and you can use, I would recommend using the small filbert brush or a little square brush. The filbert's easy to go around the curved edges. But you can also use a small flat brush, which is what I'm using here. Now, I'm not always super consistent with which brush I use. As long as it's a brush that's capable of doing what I need for it to do, I'm good. What I mean by that is, I mentioned the filbert. So the filbert has a nice rounded head on it. Okay, the filbert, okay, is that one with the nice rounded head, and my little flat one has a square head. But these both will do the job in this case. Either one of these will work for what I'm doing at the moment. In other words, I don't have to stress about using one brush and one brush only for each individual part of a painting. So again, I'm using the filbert now to do something similar. I use the square brush over there and I use the filbert over here. Some people would sometimes get a little caught up thinking, nope, you have to use a filbert for this and a flat brush for that. As long as it gets the job done and it helps, it's easy to do it with, you're good. Okay, so brushes are interchangeable. Some just make it easier to do a job than others. Okay, so there we go. Kylie, great question. I've not done any abstract tutorials yet. I may in the future. I may also do some watercolor tutorials eventually. And I don't know how likely this one is, but I might be doing some oil painting tutorials. The oil painting is my first love in art and painting. Oil is what I started with. It's still my favorite medium, but it's really messy. There's a long drying time, or it can be really messy. There's a long drying time. There's smells that you have to kind of contend with and things like that. But anyway, abstracts. I digress a little bit. Abstracts. Yes, there might be some in the future. Okay. Let's see. Manu says, I have a light apricot. Okay. You can work with that. I think as long as it looks like a skin tone, you're okay. You can also tone it a little bit with either white, pink, yellow, brown, etc. Okay. Did I say brown? Did I repeat brown a couple times there? Anyhow, so yeah, you can just play with it a little bit to get you your color. All right. All right. So now let me point something out for those of you that are working on your nose there and your hand. Look at the difference in my two backgrounds. You see this background over here and then this one? Okay, this one has two coats of paint, whereas this one only has one. You notice the difference in the blotchiness, right? This one's not as even toned. That one's a lot more even in color. They're also slightly different in color. And they're also slightly different. This one's more of a blue color where that one's more of a teal. But the difference between one coat and two coats is right there. Pretty obvious. But all right, everyone. Let's move on. 30 seconds. Again, if you need me to repeat to create a skin tone color if you don't have it, let me know and I'll be happy to do so. Okay, let's move on here. Before we do the beard, okay, because we just did the bunny slippers and then the nose and the hand, I want all of that to dry a little bit before I work around it. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go ahead and start painting my hat. Now, you can draw in those bands if you're going to be doing bands. Maybe some of you are going to be doing polka dots, flowers, etc., etc. And there we go. I got these jars of paint that sometimes the paint will dry around the edges and it'll glue the lids on. And I got to make sure I keep working out so I can open those. So anyway, I had to struggle a little bit. But okay, I'm going to continue with my color scheme. Purple and light blue. Or who knows, maybe I'll do purple in a different color. We'll see right now. We'll decide. Just pouring out a little bit of this a flowy Americana Premium acrylic paint. Just right in here. Find a little space on my mixed media palette. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my little 1/2-inch flat brush. Okay, little 1/2-inch flat, pretty easy to work with. I'm going to dip my brush right into that paint. And first I'm going to start with the brim. I always like to outline first. Just makes it easier to work all the way around. Okay, kind of like this. Once I've done my outline, I can go ahead and start filling in the inside. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to move up. Once I've colored this in, I'm going to go ahead and move up a little bit and create that middle purple band. Using the edge, skinny edge of my brush. For those of you who would rather draw it to make it a little safer for yourselves, maybe you want to draw it. I'm just going to come in here and do this. Okay, there's one edge. And then here's the top edge. Okay. Fill that in along the outline of the edge. Now we can go inside. And you notice I'm painting following the curvature of the hat. That painting with the shape actually gives your painting a little bit of dimension. Okay, so there we go. Manu, I'm going to be doing next week. Here, let me tell you. I'll tell you here in just a quick second. Next week, April, September 27th, we're doing a really cool beach scene. And I wish I could share my page, but I cannot. My platform doesn't allow me to share my page. But anyway, let me see here. I wonder if there's a way where I can share that. I can't. But if you go over to the event page on Painting with Jesse here on Facebook, you'll see the list of the upcoming events. And there is a beach with dandelions and a couple of hearts that we're doing. Again, that's Tuesday next week. All right? So if you're interested in that, come on back and join us. But okay, all the details, supplies, et cetera, are in the details page, or the about page on that event. All right, next, there's a little section up here. It's like a little triangle. Again, I do the outline first. Curve that over. Bring that down. And paint it in. All right, just like that. For this part over here, just a small little band that comes down. Just like that. Now I'm going to switch brushes for a moment. I'm going to use my small flat my number, this is a 5 flat. Okay, little number 5 flat. Just going to use that to create the very last band on the very edge. Just like that. So always take a little step back, look at your painting from a distance, make sure you're not missing anything. Okay, look at your proportions and that sort of stuff. Fix anything you feel like you need to fix, and then we move on. I'm just going to touch up my edges here a bit. All right. You have about a minute. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube or you are on Facebook, you're on one of those, make sure you follow the page to get all the updates. Like the channel. Share it with your friends and your family. You know of anyone that's interested in learning how to draw and how to paint? We do both of that here on Facebook and on YouTube. For those of you that are interested in helping support the page, I do have a virtual tip jar. It's greatly appreciated for those of you that can help support that way. I have a Venmo under Jesse Mendivil at Painting with Jesse. That's actually should be one word, at Painting with Jesse. I have a PayPal, paypal.me/painting with Jesse, all one word. On either one of those platforms, you will see my picture at the top. So you always want to make sure that it's me by verifying my picture. And then of my Zelle, I do have a Zelle at 951-217-2237. All right. Anyway, again, virtual tip jar for those of you that would like to help support the page. It is greatly appreciated. You can also share, and when you post your painting, when you're all done with your masterpiece, after you send it to me, of course, because I like to see your pictures and I like to share those with my social media. Send me your pictures. I grab them all in bulk, and then post them on a large post. Put them on a large post on Facebook and wherever, and on Instagram often, where people get to see everything that you guys did with me. After you do that, send me a picture. I'm sorry, after you share them to your social media, send me a picture. Okay? But all right, let's continue. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and color the bands in between. Okay? Now, I'm thinking maybe changing it up. Let's see here. Should I change it to orange? That might be kind of cool. If I go to orange, it'll really stand out. Yeah, what the heck? Why not? I'm going to use a little really bright orange. Now, this is kind of more of a teal color that I used here. I combined some light blue with a little bit of green. So blue, white. If you don't have a teal color and you want to use kind of a teal color, you would go blue, white, and then teal. So this is going to be a really vibrant orange that I'm going to use for this. We'll see how that works out. Going to experiment a bit. But back to my 1/2-inch brush. I clean it up. Excuse me. I clean up the brush in my water cup. Okay, kind of do this thing. Well, let me go ahead and go back to the big screen. Put it back so you guys can all. Whoops, too big, too big. Come on, get out of there. There we go. Okay. My 1/2-inch brush. Orange. This should be interesting. Outline first. Kind of like that. Fill it in. All right. I like that. Okay, Arav. Awesome. Let's see. Megan Louise says, last time for my birthday, we did a painting day and we did the Minions and Mommy and Me whales. Awesome. That sounds really cool. Did you? I hope you had some fun there. I think I saw your pictures. If I remember correctly, I think you sent me your pictures. But anyway, hope you had a great time with that. Okay, you got about a minute before we move on, and that's going to be, we're going to start adding paint to the inside of the beard. By now, our slippers are pretty dry, the nose and the hand are dry, so we can move on to in here. Okay? Awesome, Megan. Yeah, I think I remember. I think I remember seeing the pictures on that. All right, 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm going back to my half-inch brush. Okay, still using this half-inch brush. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a very small amount of black and mix it with a large amount, in comparison, a large amount of white. Okay, so I've got some white on my plate here, on my mixed media palette. I'm going to take a little bit of black. Don't need much. And I'm going to put some right there on the top. And that's probably more than I'll need by a lot to create I'm trying to create a really light gray color. So I'm going to take this white right here. I'm going to bring it over, just move it over to the side. Okay, kind of like this. I'm going to take a little bit of black and introduce it a bit at a time. Now, I don't know about you. Your gnome can have a really gray beard or a really white beard, kind of all up to you. But I'm mixing the white and the black, but I want to leave it nice and streaky, meaning that it's not a completely blended color. I've got a little bit of both, white and gray showing through. Once I've done that, what I'll do is I'll take my brush and I press it against my pad here. Press it down to narrow the edges. What I'm going to do now, and if you need to use a smaller brush, please switch it up. Okay, if you're not comfortable using such a large brush, you'll feel it when you start to paint. You got to be able to get into the little areas in between, like the little corners, like up there. First, I'm just coming through here and outlining everything. Okay, coming through. Outlining like that. Okay. Once I've done my outlining, I'm going to take my brush. I'll take the narrow part of my brush like this, and I'm going to start painting lines kind of curved, around my edges curved, and as I get to the middle, they start going straight up and down. So from the edges, kind of curved out towards the edges, and down in here, start painting downwards. Okay. Short, slightly curved on the edges. And as we get towards the middle, they start getting more straighter and then up and down, right? straight up and down. And again, as we start going over towards the sides, we can start curving them again. Careful around your bunny ears and the bunny head. You need to switch to a smaller brush to cover those areas. Please do so. All right, there we go. So it is 4:18. We got about an hour and 15 minutes to go. Okay, now might go a little bit over, but that's what we're shooting for. Okay, so just kind of want to give everyone a little bit of a let you know where we are as far as time. Also, again, if you're behind or anything like that, you'll be able to paint this with the recorded session. So don't stress. As soon as this is over, I press save and it saved to both Facebook and to YouTube. Okay. So take a moment, take about maybe another minute on this. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush here for a moment. I've got some little areas in between, like the bunny ears and stuff. I'm switching over to my little flat brush. Okay. This is a small flat. It's actually about a number 5. Okay. Just going to clean it up a bit. And just going to come in here. And do that. Just using my small brush here to fill in little sections that I might have missed. But all right. Okay. What I do want to do right now is I'm going to take a moment to do a second layer of blue on my background. Now, some of you may not need it, okay, and some of you are going to feel like you do need it. If you don't need it, simply go through and refine any areas that you've already worked on. Look, poke around, clean things up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do the second layer. It won't take me very long, but for those of you that are going to do this, I'm going back to my number 1 brush. Okay, I just want to clean this up nicely. So again, I can go ahead and go around and outline my gnome. Same thing as what I did earlier with the grass. Just going to go around and above it. Then I'm going to come in here once everything's outlined and using short, quick, random, kind of a crisscross pattern with my brush strokes. Create my second layer. This is going to make it nice and, well, more even anyway, less blotchy. All right. Again, difference between this side and this side. I'm sure you can see it. See some blotchiness through there with the low light colored parts. And then if any of you are in Southern California and you're not aware, I do in-person paint parties, help you celebrate birthdays, housewarmings, anniversaries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now that things are calming down a little bit with COVID, business is starting to pick up. We can do, paint parties with COVID restrictions, et cetera, et cetera. Up to you, but let me know if you guys are interested. You can always reach out to me here on Messenger. I also do Zoom sessions. I do private Zoom sessions for those of you that aren't in Southern California. So in other words, if you're in Southern California, I travel to you. I come to your house, I come to your business, school, church, et cetera, et cetera. If you're on Zoom, if you'd like to do something over Zoom, wherever you are, we can have a little party over Zoom. If you guys are interested, let me know. But anyway, there's my background, nice and solid. I'm going to take a moment to use a smaller flat brush to clean up the edges down here at the bottom near the grass. And then we're going to continue. Okay, I'll give you guys about 2 minutes to do the second layer. There we go. All right. There's that. Work on that. Kenya says, I love the way mine is turning out. Awesome, Kenya. Awesome. Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. So anyway, folks, take a moment to get your second layer on your background. And again, I can see it in the image up there on I'm using my phone to record I use my phone for one of the cameras, right? I turn my phone towards me and I can see the image. But I can see the difference between the two gnomes as far as the background, or not the difference between the two gnomes, but the difference from what it was originally and what it looks like now on the new gnome. Okay. Awesome, Steph. Yeah, let me know. Let me know, and we can do something over Zoom. Definitely. I've been doing a lot of Zoom sessions. Well, not a lot, quite a few. Lots of kid parties, some adult parties, and yeah, we can set it up. With the Zoom stuff, of course, I send you a supplies list, what you're going to need. You get to pick your painting and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, we can figure something out if you're interested. All right, everybody. Things are looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. In just a moment, we're going to go back into the grass part and start making some refinements. Whoops. Almost tripped on I have a floor covering in my studio that I use to protect the carpet. There's carpet under here. And I almost tripped on that thing. Back when I first started doing my sessions, I had a home studio and I was doing them out of my home studio. And I was first figuring things out for, my lighting, where the camera was. So, I was kind of working through the stuff, and I used to use a laptop to play music in the background. Now I can't use that on on the platform that I'm using right now, but I would play music in the background. I had my laptop over to the side. I had studio lights and all this other stuff. And one time I went to go change the music. There was a commercial. I was using YouTube. I went to go skip the music. You didn't catch us on camera, but I did a little trip. The laptop went flying off the table. I did like a little dive to catch it. I caught my laptop, and all you could hear on the video is like, but yeah. So here though, since I've got two cameras, you would see that. You would actually see me go down. So anyhow, I'm sure someday it's probably going to happen. But all right, here we go. Let's go back to the grass. So what I've got is I've got another green color here. I've got a darker green that I'm going to use to create some dark green grass blades. If you do not have a dark green, you can tone your green down a little bit with either black, dark blue, or brown. Okay, it's kind of up to you, whichever one of those you'd like to use. Whatever color you use to make your green darker, add a little bit at a time. If you've already got a dark green, perfect. Or if the green that you've already added is already pretty dark, then you're going to want to do this with a lighter green. Okay, and you can make a lighter green by mixing in yellow, white. Okay, so but I'm going to use the same 1/2 inch brush that I used earlier. I think I was using the 1/2 inch brush. Actually, no, it was my 1 inch. That's okay. I'm switching over to my 1/2 inch. Going to grab some green in here, and I think I might have accidentally grabbed some blue, but we'll see. Just going to come in here. Now I'm going to use, if you've got a big round brush, like a number 6, number 7, that would also work pretty well for this. Okay, the rounded point of your brush and the thick body will make this, can make this pretty easy. I mentioned, again that it's not just, you have to use one brush for a particular thing. You could use a variety of brushes to get a similar effect. So a big round brush or a medium-sized round brush would be good, could be good to help you make some grass blades. So, but for this case, I'm just using this 1/2 inch flat. And I'm just using this, I'm using the skinny edge. I press down on the canvas and I move up. As I get to the point, I lift my brush up off the canvas. I lift it off and it gets nice and pointy. Okay. All right. And you can overlap them a little bit. Here in a little bit, we'll be using some lighter colors. So I'm just going to come through here, come up over the edges. I'm doing lots of overlapping. Overlap, overlap, overlap. I know what it was when I went to do something. I went to go change the music or skip a commercial or whatever it was on the laptop. The laptop cord was in my path, and I kicked it, or rather, it kicked me. It tripped me. Okay. But okay, so you're gonna do this with the dark green. Then you can also take a little bit of yellow or white, same brush, mix in some of that yellow with your paint. So here I've got some yellow. Just gonna make a really light green, almost like a lime green. And I'm gonna go through and do the same thing. It's kind of random. Okay. There you go. Work on that for a little bit. Okay. In just a little bit, we're going to start adding, let's see here. We're going to start adding refinements to the inside. We're going to outline our bunny. I think I'm going to use either, let me grab my red. Give me a sec. Either I'll be using red. Yeah, I'll be using red. So I'm going to be using a little bit of red to mix with my pink. And then we're going to use that to outline the bunny ears. All right, here we go. So I'm going to use my number 3 round brush. This skin pointed there. I'm going to take some pink, and I'm going to take a little bit of red. So I've got my red right here. Pink. Deep, pink, almost fuchsia. Come in here. First on the inside of my bunny ears. Okay. There's my virtual tip jar information at the bottom of the screen if anybody is interested in helping support the channel that way. There's my other ear. I've also got a Linktree website, Linktree page. I have a link to that Linktree page in the description of this video. If you guys are interested in checking out my future events, my past event library, what other platforms I'm on, go check it out. Go to that Linktree site and it'll show you all that information. All right, now I'm just going to work my way around the outer edges of my bunny. Getting on these little outlines. You need to, when you make your mixture, you ever find that your paint is a little bit too thick, hard to work with, add a little bit of water to it. Take your brush, dip in your water cup, bring that water over and mix it in, and make it so that it's more like ink and easier to work with. Easier to outline with, easier to draw with, etc., etc. All right. While I'm here, now I've got a little black on my mixed media pad. I'm going to take the same little brush. I've got some black right here on my pad. Just going to grab a little bit of it. Oh, it's just the very point of the bristles. Over in my little bunny slipper some eyes. How about that? So take a moment to do that. Next, we're going to go ahead and work on the inside of that beard. We're going to be using a little black and a small brush to do these little dark lines in there. Little outlines. Ooh. I had a little zero brush. It also seemed to have disappeared with my pencil. That's okay. Now check this out, everyone. I think I mentioned during the brush tutorial that brush numbers, I've got two number 3s right here, two different brands. And two number 3s. Look at the difference. One smaller and one smaller and pointier. Whenever you see a number, a reference number on a brush, across brands, they're not exactly the same. There's no universal format or regulations, and they have to be exactly the same. So sometimes you'll see that. So this number 3 would be maybe a 0 in this brand, or a 2. Okay? And this number 3 would be a 4 or 5 in this brand. Just want to point that out. But here we go. So, got a little bit of black right here. I'm going to use my number 3 brush. Bring some black over to the side. A little bit of white. I'm going to lightly make a really dark gray, almost black color. Okay. Not necessarily looking for gray. Take a little bit of water. Dip my brush into my water cup. I'm going to bring that over. Mix that water in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bunch of these little jagged lines with pointy things. Let me sit on my rickety stool for that. It'll get nice and close to my canvas. Here we go. Now I'm painting on an easel. I've got a table here. I'm going to put my non-painting hand right here on the canvas, on the table. I put my painting hand right over my wrist. Now I've got some support. I can do this. It stabilizes my hand. The other thing I can do is I can come across here, put my pinky right on the canvas, and I can use that pinky to stabilize my hand. We'll try both. Okay, so here. Okay. Just going to do a bunch of these. Remember, if you have any trouble getting that paint to flow onto your canvas, add a little bit of water to it. Introduce a little bit of water at a time. You use too much water and you're going to make it runny. You don't want runny, not for this. Okay, now the other method. I'll put my pinky or my knuckle right up against the canvas. I'm holding the brush a lot closer because I want more control. This, I'm holding the brush closer to the tip. Okay, my knuckle sits right up against that canvas. I can also do with the pinky. There we go. You can also do with your hands just floating in the air. That's a little harder to do, a little less stable. Also outline around the outside. Like that. All right, so did a few in there. You can also make little lines, even if it's straight kind of or curved little lines by themselves. You don't have to make them to a little point. We're good. Okay. Later on, we'll come in here and add some little bit of white highlights in the beard. You guys got about a minute on this. And then the next step is we're going to start adding flowers and stuff in that background, especially this big flower our little gnome is holding. We're getting there. So tell me, guys, what else do you want to see a tutorial on? Yeah, let me know in the comment section. What else would you like to see on here? All right, we got a good little YouTube crowd going today. Okay, about 15 people on YouTube as of this moment. And we're pretty far into the painting, so I have to imagine that at some point it's higher than that. It's been a little difficult for me to grow YouTube simply because I don't post there as much as I can on Facebook. But I appreciate those of you that are on YouTube. Thank you so much. Please, please, please interact with the page. If you guys can leave a little comment in there, give it a like, give the video a like. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And of course, for those of you that are on Facebook, same thing. Please give the video a like. Leave a comment if you can. But please let me know, what would you guys like to see on here? What other tutorials do you want to see? We do lots of both kid-centric paintings, and then we do a lot of more adult-oriented. Not adult as an adult theme, but more complex, more detailed, that kind of thing. If you guys can, let me know in the comment section what you guys want to see on it. Barn, patriotic stuff. So check this out, Steph. We did this last year. For those of you that are interested, well, patriotic. When you say patriotic, it depends on. I know you're in the United States, but as far as the United States, right? We did this last 4th of July. I think it was like the week before 4th of July. Now, this video is still available for anybody who would like to go check this out and along with this. We did this patriotic sky theme last year. You just have to go through the videos. Go back to the archive. You'll find it there. And then I don't have the video here because my wife, I gave it to my wife. We did this really cool barn painting sometime, I want to say it was around November or something like that. It was a really cool barn thing. Again, that video is also available. Okay? But yeah, let me know, guys. What do you guys want to do? You got it. Yeah, that one, that patriotic thing, that American flag sky, has all kinds of glitter on it. Real shiny, real glittery. So has glitter paint. Glitter paint on it. Okay? But all right, let's continue with our little gnome. So what is next? We're going to take, you can take a filbert brush, small filbert, or small flat brush. I'm going to go ahead and use my filbert brush for this. I'm going to start adding some of the stems in here for the flowers. Okay? Do my filbert brush. Is this rounded top brush? What's good about it is that the head gets really skinny, really thin. So I can use it. I'm going to grab some of my green paint. I can use it to make stems. I can also use a flat brush for this. You've got an angular brush, small angular brush, that will also come in here. Here we go, just grabbing my paint. Let me get close to my canvas. I'm going to come over here and start with the furthest one first. The trick to skinny lines. Make them as skinny as possible first. You may then want to practice. Practice on a paper or a plate, etc. Okay, the smaller, the skinnier you can make them, the better. Because you can always make those wider if you need them to be a little bit thicker. Okay, but again, I flatten my brush by pressing into my pad, and then I'm going to come over. And you can leave space for my flower. There we go. Okay. There's one stem. And of course, you can make them a little wider as they go down. As they go down into the ground. Here's another one. Okay, I'm using my hand here to place it on my table. You're not painting on me, use the easel, that's okay. Okay. Another stem. Now we're going to work with this one. I'm going to demonstrate that one with one of my flat brushes. My little flat. Okay, this little guy right here. A little small flat. Again, this is about number 5 flat. I'm pressing into my pad like this. Okay, now I'm going to come over. I know my little flowers in the little bottom of my flowers and about right in here. Let's put a little mark down. A little mark down on the canvas. Then of course I want that to come into the top of the hand somewhere over here. So using my peeker to guide, I'm using the very tip of the bristles. I'm just barely touching this. Right in there, just like that. And a little bit might stick out the bottom. Okay. Okay. Then maybe over here we got a couple more. Still using my little flat brush. One there, maybe another one over here. I can use my little square brush to add leaves. First I do the outline. And I can paint that in. Something over here, a little outline. Paint that in. Over here. Paint those in. Don't forget, folks, please share your paintings with me. Take pictures of them. Send them to me here on Messenger, on Facebook, or on YouTube. Send them to me on paintingwithjesse@gmail.com. Paintingwithjesse@gmail.com. And that way I can share them with everyone else. Once I get a few of them, once I've gathered, as many as I can over a day or so, then I share them in a large post on Facebook and sometimes Instagram. While you guys are working on those little leaves, I'm just coming in here, just adding some little stems. Since I'm using my little small flat brush, so I come in here and clean up some of these little blades of grass that are popping up over the top. Okay. All right, so work on those stems for a little bit. A mother and a daughter for Mother's Day. That would be a little tricky, but maybe. I'll see what I can do. If I've got time, I'll see what I can do. But I like the idea. I like it. Very nice. Okay. So we've got some stems with no flowers. Let's add a few little flowers in there. So same thing. Flowers just like with everything else. Oh, and I've got a little free-floating flower over here. I think I forgot to add a little stem. I just now noticed that. Crazy. Oh, maybe it's flying away. It's a little flower that's flying away. It's a magical flower. Right. So, same thing with the flowers. You can use a round brush to create petals. You can use a flat brush. You can use an angular brush. You can use a filbert brush. Okay, and I'll demonstrate it with each one of those. But I'm going to start with a filbert. First flower that I'm going to make is an orange one. Make some petals. Little filbert brush, right, with a rounded top. Same what I've been using. Just going to grab some orange here, some of my bright orange. Okay, and maybe with this one right here. I'm going to start with the petals. Because I've got a rounded head on this, I can do this. Okay. Press down, bring down towards the center, and create some really nice petals. And I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around. Press down, bring back towards the center, pull away. As I do that each time, I create a nice little petal. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Let me give you a close-up. And I can fill the center in with whatever color I want. Yellow, brown, blues, purple. And I'm going to have another little flower right here. So I'm going to use the same brush. I'll switch it up. Maybe over here I'll use a flat brush. If you want to do the petals first, you can also draw your petals in one at a time with a small pointy brush. But in this case, let's see. Whether it looks like this one where it's kind of sideways. Start with the top. I'll correct the stem here in a bit. Little scheme. Brush petals. Those are the ones at the very top, at the very edge. Then, here towards the back part, the more you see the petal. Okay. And like I said, you can take a different color, yellow, red, brown, whatever the case may be, to fill in your centers. And maybe I will do a little yellow right here. A little bit of yellow right there. Okay, I'm going to use my number 3 round brush, the bigger of the two, to draw those in. I just want to show you different techniques to this, to draw these flowers up in there. And I'm going to stick with my yellow. Okay. So I grab some yellow with my skinny round brush. I know, so my little center part of my flower is going to be about right here. So I can just go ahead and outline that. Make out like that. Of course, that's going to be filled in with a different color. I'll come in here. I'm going to start with the petals down here at the bottom. So the idea is you're seeing kind of the side. You're seeing the flower at an angle. So you're seeing the bottom and the petals that are closer to you. They're bigger, more prominent. Starting with the ones on the edge. There, let me see if I can hold this close to the camera and do this at the same time. Asking a lot, maybe. There we go. There we go. Just using mostly the point of the brush. The ones on the far side are moved or shortened because of our perspective. There we go. Okay. And of course, we go in there and fill in the color on those petals. Again, don't stress too much if you're falling behind and you're going, Jesse's going too fast. You can go back to the recorded session and do this at your leisure. Okay? If you miss something, let's say you're on those flowers over there, you can come back and add these. All the steps that we're doing next. You can. It's not super crucial that you do them with. Actually, all the steps. You can obviously do this whole thing with the recorded session. There we go. Okay. There we are. And that will take a couple of layers. We'll let that dry for a bit. We'll come back and add another layer over the top. So the little center, we can do whatever color. Let me do this one. Let me go and paint that one red. Why not? Red and combo, I think. Okay, now I'm going to take a small flat. A little small flat. And put some small white flowers down here. Again, these are drying. We're going to go back and add another layer over the top to make those more intense a little bit. Okay, just taking a little bit of white with my little small brush. And the petals all the way around. Little, just drawing in these little circle petals. Actually, we're going to cover up the center. We'll add yellow to that in a bit. Also doing like this, where we draw the hole, just the outer edge. And fill them in. Now this flat head, I keep saying flat head like it's a screwdriver, but this flat brush does have a flat head. It may not be ideal to paint these flowers with, but it can make it work. If that's all you have. Okay. Good, Megan. Okay, sounds good. Good afternoon to you too. Hope you had fun. Definitely talk to your mama about sending me your painting, okay? All right, now I'm going to go and take a little bit of yellow and a little yellow button in the center. There we go. Okay. So you can obviously add as many flowers as you want, as many or as few. We have a little flower that we're going to add here in just a bit to the hat. I am going to add at least one flower over to the side. I'm going to fix the stems on those in just a moment. We've got about a minute to get yours all done. We're at 5 o'clock. We have officially about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes to finish. So not too bad on time. Okay, so just take a moment. Again, take a step back. Assess your painting from a little bit of a distance. Where do you need to make adjustments to it? Make your adjustments. Remember that your flowers will require at least 2 layers for them to really pop. We will be adding a second layer to these as long as there's time. You can always add a second layer on your own, right? That's not super something that has to be done while everything. You can let this dry for a few days and come back and do a second session if you'd like. What I mean by that is that you don't have to do everything all at once. Okay? But all right, let me take a little step back. Okay, I am going to go ahead and make a couple of adjustments to a couple of those stems that are free floating without a flower touching the top, without them being connected to the flower. I'm going to take my little round brush, little number 3. So take a little bit of green, and I'm just going to come over here. Make sure my stems connect to my flowers. All right. And then I might as well, I'm just going to add a couple of stems here. 1 stem for a little flower that's coming out from the side over there. Okay. In anticipation. Then I'm also going to go ahead and, let's see, using my other number 3, one that's a little bit bigger. So you go through here This paint's all dry here already. Just gonna go ahead and add another layer. Go. All right. Second layer over here. And I'm going to go ahead and make a flower up over here. I'm going to go back to my filbert brush. So take some orange. I'm going to keep the colors the same. Here's my top. Come down. Okay. Center. There we go. And there we go. Yeah, Penny, they sure are. So how did you end up doing on that? I don't think you sent me your painting. But yeah, the roses are definitely, they just take time. They take time for you to develop the technique. I bet you if you go back and try some today or tomorrow, you'll do a lot better with those. But yeah, roses are tricky. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. But okay, everyone. So again, if you're not done with your flowers there, don't worry about it too much. Just finish what you're working on, and then come join me. We're gonna add a little bit of detail to the. So what brush am I going to use here? I'm going to use my round, little number 3 round. I'm going to take some white. There's a little highlight right here on the nose. Almost like a water drop. So let me a little reflection on the nose. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to, I can use my filbert. Filbert's coming in pretty handy today. Again, you can use a flat brush for this. You can also, yeah, flat brush or a filbert would be just fine. So clean it up a little bit because that's some orange and other colors in there. We don't want to, I'm about to touch up the beard. I don't want to add any of that orange into my beard. I suppose a gnome with an orange beard would be all right. That would be kind of cool. You know, that's what you're into. It's all good. I'm going to leave mine in white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab just a little bit of white. Don't need a lot. Gnomes come in all kinds of different shapes, sizes, colors, right? They dress differently. Some have big noses, little noses. But what I'm going to do is I'm taking some white, and I'm just going to come in here and add these little streaks throughout the beard, almost like little highlights, right? Just kind of offset the gray of it. All I'm doing is, as long as I'm not covering up every bit of the color underneath, we are good. And you could if you want. Maybe your gnome has a really bright white beard. Moving yours is mostly gray. All good. So I'm using the brush, using the skinny part of the brush. Putting it down so I can get a better view of what I'm doing, get a better sense of what I need to add. Some more of this. All right. There we go. An empty umbrella, huh? Hi, Melissa. If you go over to YouTube, if you wanted, okay. So for those of you that are kind of wondering, again, I am recording this session, and it will be available on both Facebook and YouTube as soon as this video is over, which should be in about 30 minutes. However, if you want to watch this right now, you can go to YouTube and you can back it up all the way to the beginning. YouTube allows you to do that on a live stream, whereas Facebook does not. I'm just turning my camera a little tiny bit. I don't know how that moved, but it looked like it moved. But yeah, so on YouTube right now, you can go back. You can go on there and you can back it up all the way to the beginning. Whereas on Facebook, you cannot. And my mic has got to be really good because I didn't have it on and you guys could still hear me. Now I'm probably super loud. But okay, so there's all the little white around, around the beard. Okay, so work on that for just a bit. We're going to go ahead and the next step will be, for those of you that have some brown, we're going to outline the nose a little. You don't have to outline it actually if you don't want to, but I'm going to take a little bit of brown. Don't need a lot. Come on, brown. It's really thick paint that I got in here. Just need a little bit. Being stubborn. But I'm going to use this brown to outline the hand and the nose. Oh, I see what's happening. I see what's happening. A little opening plugged up a little. There we go. So I'm using my number 3, but I want to add, because I'm doing thin lines, I want to add a little bit of water to my mix, to my paint. So brush was in my water. I'm going to bring this over so that the water mixes in with the paint. Okay, I'm just using brown for this. I'm going to use this to outline my nose. Okay. There we go. Then I'm going to come around and do it on this other hand. Or on this hand. I'm only showing one hand. Okay. Just like that. Advika, that's right. Good vibes. Good vibes. Okay. So outline your nose, outline your hand. For those of you that are going to be adding a little flower to the tip of your gnome's hat, this could also be a little ball or like a cotton ball or whatever. I'm going to draw a little flower on mine. I'm going to start with the petals. I'm using my number 3 brush. Just going to come up over here. 1 little petal. 2 little petals. 3 petals. And 4, because that's all you can see on this flower. Okay. And I'm just going to paint the inside. I'm going to take a little red, same brush, and I'll paint the inside. There we go. Okay. Take about a minute to catch up on all of that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to outline our hat. I'm going to take some purple and outline the entire hat. And then after that, I'll come in and add some more of the purple color in here. My orange is pretty bright and I like it like that. The purple, I will be adding another color, another layer of purple in there. Then we'll go through and maybe add another layer of yellow to this flower and maybe orange to those and this one. And we'll see where we are after that. All right, everyone. Let's continue here. So I'm going to take, let's see here. Maybe I should change it up. Maybe I'll outline it in orange. Might look kind of cool. Or even red. I'm talking about my hat. You know what? I'm gonna try it in orange. Why not? Instead of the purple. My little number 3 brush. Gonna dip it into some water. See what this looks like. Again, we're making skinny lines for the outlining part. So we want to make sure that we use one of the small brushes. Also that we mix water with the paint, very important. There we go. Okay, this is turning out all right. Wasn't sure about the color combo, but it's working out. There we go. Outlining the brim of the hat, although I didn't do it on the original, so maybe that's overkill on that outlining, but it's okay. Still works out okay. What's happening, Sue? How are you? Thank you for stopping by and saying hello. Appreciate it. Okay, I mentioned that I'm going to do a second layer of purple here across the top. Yeah, and this extra line down here that I did, I don't like it. A little outline at the bottom here of the brim. I'm not happy with it because I used orange, it's almost glowing a bit. So I'm just taking a paper towel and wiping that right off. As long as I don't do it too hard, so I don't remove any of the dry paint underneath. Very easily, a little bit of water on my paper towel comes right off. No problem. No problem whatsoever. Yeah, this neon orange made it look like a little bit of a glowing edge there against the white of the beard or the gray of the beard. Okay, there we go. So back to my little 1/2-inch brush. Gonna grab some purple. Going through here and all right. There we go. I like that. The second layer of that purple really makes that stand out. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a second layer of my yellow to my flower. Scooping that up. I can use my filbert for this now. There we go. So I'm going to take a little step back. I'm going to look at my painting from a distance. See what we've got. The only things that are left is refining my flowers over here, giving those a second layer. The orange flowers, also a second layer of yellow on that flower. And I think we are in business. So just going to grab a little bit of yellow, same thing, using my filbert. Might as well paint the center of my flowers over here with that yellow. Same yellow that we're working with. All right. And then same brush. Just adding a second layer over the petals. So they stand out a little bit more. All right. I had to sneeze there. So I put you guys on mute. Okay. So how's everybody doing? Let me know in the comments. Oh, happy spring. We can't leave that out. You got it, Gloria. My pleasure. My pleasure, my pleasure. In just a moment, we're going to do the happy spring up on top or whatever you guys want to write. Now, I'm going to use chalk for that. I'll use the white chalk to write it out. You can use pencil if you'd like. Okay. Pencil's a little tougher to do it in. So take a moment. Okay, take a moment with catching up with whatever you can catch up on if you're behind. And then I will come back in just a moment. We're going to do the happy spring up on top. Okay, so for the happy spring on top. Oops, let me get my mic back on here. For the happy spring, I'm going to write it out in chalk, and then I paint over it. The reason why I like to use chalk, for those of you that aren't aware, and it's just basic chalk, it's really easy to erase, make corrections with, especially when you're writing something. Okay, hold on one second. So, especially when you're writing something, it's easy to write, and then if you need to correct, you choose size, that sort of thing, you can do that. So, just got a basic piece of white chalk right here. And over the top. Let's say you're going to write something different, whatever it is you're going to write. Very easily, I know my happy needs to be over here, my spring needs to be over here. I'll start with my H right in here. Oops, canvas moved a bit, that's all right. Happy spring. Okay, now, if you notice, my spring is too far over to the right for my taste. Okay, some of you, if you had that, you'd be okay with it. But look how easily it is to fix something like that. I can take a paper towel, take a little bit of water, and now I can come over and I can just lightly remove my spring. That easy. I could also, of course, remove my happy and move it over to the left. Let me dry this now so I can redo my spring part. And I'll come over to this side. Okay. A little bit smaller. A little bit better. There we go. Okay, now again, I wanted to adjust that and bring that over further. I would erase the happy and move it over. But that's better. I like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'll take one of my small brushes One of my number 3 round. Sounds good, Steph. Fantastic. Oh, I'm happy you had a good time, Gloria. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it as always. So I'm just going to take a little bit of white with my number 3 round brush. Now I can paint right over that chalk. Now the nice thing about chalk, let's say I was using a different color chalk and I'm painting white over it. When I'm done, if I can see some chalk around my edges, once my writing is dry, it's easy to remove. It's easy to remove that chalk. Don't forget, everyone, we're finishing up here pretty soon. Please take pictures of your masterpieces and then send them over to me here on Messenger on Facebook, or if you're on YouTube, you can email them to me at paintingwithjesse@gmail.com. Now, I can add a little bit of water to my white paint to make it easier to work with. I just did that right now. Dip my brush into my water cup, bring that paint over, water over to my paint, mix the two together. Now watch the difference. Okay, way easier for that to spread onto my canvas. Okay. Now I can go through, I can let this dry a little bit, excuse me, and then come back and do another layer over everything. Or I can come through here and just do little touch-ups. So let's say you want to do it in yellow letters. You don't have yellow chalk. That's okay. Use white chalk. Use whatever chalk you've got. You paint right over it, and then you're able to clean it up afterwards. So here, mine's pretty much done, right? As far as my lettering's concerned, it's pretty much done. Let's say after it's dried, I can see some of the chalk around the edges, like I just mentioned. I would simply take a wet paper towel. Letters are all dry. I just go through and clean up my edges, okay? Last thing you want to do is sign your piece, your masterpiece. So take a color, any color. Usually I'll take a contrasting color to the background. Like in this case, I can use this pink color. I'll add some white to it once again, a little bit of white. Sorry, a little bit of water, not white, water. And then I'll usually sign with my last name. You can sign with your initials. This paint's a little too watered down, but that's all right. Your nickname, maybe you have an artistic name. Sign your piece, and you are done. All right. Okay, everybody, that is the end of our painting session. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. We've got a couple minutes before I end the stream. So ask your questions. Okay. In the meantime, don't forget to, when you're all done, send me a picture of your masterpiece. Also, if you're interested in helping support the page, I do have a virtual tip jar. I have the information there on the bottom of the screen. It's also listed in the description of the video. but it's my virtual tip jar. I've got a Venmo under Painting with Jesse, all one word. PayPal, paypal.me/Painting with Jesse, all one word. Then I also have a Zelle, 951-217-37. Okay, any of those will work. When you share your pictures on your social media, if you can tag the page, that would be amazing, because again, that also helps spread the love, spread the word, and helps the channel to grow. Like, follow, etc., 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 etc. Okay, you guys all know the spiel. So anyhow, Susan Gutowski, you are very welcome. It is my pleasure. B Dibs, you got it. Loved having you. Thank you for being here. Good night, Gloria. Somebody says, have a great anniversary. Thank you, Lisa Guarino. Yeah, that's right. I wish I would plan things a little bit better. We'd have had a anniversary celebration. That's okay. That's okay. Got a lot of stuff happening, so I am a happy guy with everything. So we're good. Okay, sounds good. Somebody says we'll be doing Zelle. No worries. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Steph Reed, good. Thank you so much again for being here. But all right, everyone. I think we're pretty much done. Again, unless anybody has any questions that they'd like to throw in the comment sections, we have about a minute to go. Penny, you got it. Thank you for hanging out once again. I just want to remind everybody the video will be available immediately after, both on Facebook and on YouTube, and you can watch on either platform. I don't have I currently don't have any time frame. I just leave the video up. It stays up indefinitely until I decide to move the videos to a different platform or, somewhere else. But at the moment, everything's staying here on Facebook and on YouTube. So you're able to go watch these at any time. Okay. So just be aware of that. Ken says, thank you. Enjoy the class. Kathy from Minnesota. Okay. It's Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for being here. Jill, you got it. My pleasure. But all right, everyone, please don't forget to send me pictures. Okay. I would love to be able to share your masterpieces with everyone. People really enjoy seeing everyone else's paintings, right? Everybody's turns out differently, and that's part of the fun. But people like to see what those look like and also how creative people can get. So, okay. All right, everyone, have a good rest of the evening or morning if you're in Australia or something like that. I think it might be morning out there already, but thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, next week we've got our next event. Following week, we got another event. We have 3 events coming up over the next 3 weeks, and I will be adding more to the calendar. So please stay tuned for all of that. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.